Hello, and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm
and today we're going to be reviewing
Legion.
Holla for We Are Many. This episode is entitled, ironically, Chapter 4, because it's the fourth episode and all the other episodes are
Oh my
precluded by
god, they
chapter.
got it.
Yeah, whatever. So tell them.
Tell them what.
Tell,
Don't ask me to explain this show.
give them the facts. Well, from a reviewing standpoint, we're back to episode 1, confusion level 4000. It was a very confusing one. I think what threw me off at the start is you kind of had there was kind of flashes and stuff like that all through the episode, like different kind of contrasting bits when you're in David's head, because he's still Sparko knocked out from like when they went into his mind last episode. So he's dreaming, and it turns out he's in the astral plane. Which, I mean, if you watch Doctor Strange, you know what that's all about. Which was interesting. They dropped that. So yeah, he is doing away dreaming. Um,
Yeah, so he's not in it for about the first 23, 24 minutes or so of the episode.
yeah, and then he kind of only pops up.
Yeah, and he pops up in. So the episode begins with who we later find out, I guess, to be the husband of. What's her face? What is her name?
Oh,
The old, the old blonde woman.
yeah. Just call her
Her
that.
husband,
Melanie.
Melanie, right?
Yeah,
So
good
we're
save.
giving a performance to the camera, kind of very like operatic or dramatic. We don't really know what's going on,
Yeah,
but we find out later on that he is in the astral plane.
yeah.
It's, I guess, and he's trapped there somehow.
Yeah. And he's also in the facility in like a space suit, like in a coma or whatever. You got to assume he's in a mental coma as well. Whether he's kind of got the same powers as, uh,
David.
yeah, or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they mentioned last episode. They kind of mentioned that like the guy who helped create the place was Walter, who's the eye character, and it's like interesting how like this guy's popping up as well. So yeah, I mean all through the episode there were different like flashes and stuff like that. Like there were a lot of monologues, and it was flashing in between things, and you kind of see Syd like kind of on the floor knocked out, and then it flashes like carries on with the story, and she's normal, and you kind of thinking, well, what's going on here then? And then obviously as it rolls through, you kind of find out what's going on. So basically it's interesting, well, because you know the scientist guy with the doctor, you actually find out that the attractive girl
Mm.
is actually a part of him, and I think artistically the episode was real good. It was really like kind of artsy, you
And
know
I still don't get how that works though.
how what works.
Them being one person
Um,
because they're
that
in two different places.
is weird because they explain it in the story. Like the woman was pregnant with like the guy who's like Native American, and then apparently they're like scanning the kid's a girl, so they're like, oh okay then, and then like she gives birth, and it's a white boy, so then the father thinks, oh you've cheated on me, so he leaves, and then like on the eighth birthday he kind of wakes up and he sees like the girl on the thing, and it turns out like they're kind of whatever, he can squit her out or whatever. They're like two people trapped in one body, and there's a girl and the guy, and like she only ages when she's outside the body, and it is kind of really confusing.
Okay,
I guess,
so
I guess, I guess, because they originally scanned in the body, it was a girl. Maybe, I mean, if they scanned again, it would have been a boy. But them, one of them's a mutant, and their ability is to like another person inside them. Whether it's a guy who's a mutant who squits out the girl, or the girl who's a mutant who squits out the guy. But yeah, it's kind of very confusing.
okay,
Very confusing. Pretty much everything she does, he kind of does as well outside the body. So yeah, they've kind of Syd, the memory guy, have decided to they've analysed the memories and they thought, okay, David's gone back to the site. They're trying to find out what the stars said, because he said the stars are talking to him and they're trying to find out. So they go back to the psychiatrist's office to find out what's going there, and then like deeper into the story you find out that when David went there to rob the place, which apparently he wasn't robbing the place, he was there to destroy the tapes which had like their conversations on it. So yeah, and it turns out like the doctor came in while he was doing it, so he bludgeoned him and like give him brain damage and whatever. So that was pretty sad. That apparently lost control and battered him. But it was interesting because he must have been in a drug stupor or whatever. Because they mentioned the memory guy mentioned it was like, oh, I think if he could brain damage a guy with his fist, just hitting him, what could he do with his powers? You know, there was a lot of like, after they come out of his mind last episode, there's a lot of kind of implication on like, now they've kind of had a little look into his head a bit more, maybe he is like kind of dangerous, and Syd shouldn't put so much faith into him because maybe he's not a good person, because he is kind of out of control. So yeah, David wakes up in the astral plane. He goes to the little iceberg thing you see in the start of the episode, whatever that's about. I think it's just a manifestation of his mind, because obviously in the real world, he's kind of on ice in a diver suit in the facility. So yeah, they go. He's like goes there, and they're talking about like there's a monster there, and the monster can't get to him inside the little iceberg thing, and like that monster is the man with the yellow eyes, because you see flashes of him in the ice and stuff like that, and they're implying. You also find out that the girl Aubrey Plaza is like a manifested, like it's not actually a girl. There's conflicting stories, like it's not actually Lenny but it's Benny and it's a guy as opposed to a girl, which was kind of, I don't know what that's about.
So is Aubrey Plaza the monster?
I don't know,
Because she's definitely the you know, the old, you got the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. She's definitely the devil that's encouraging him to do.
well, like apparently like this Benny guy who was the friend, apparently he was a bad influence because he's doing all the drugs with David and stuff like that, and getting him to rob the place. So why like subconsciously he's turned the guy into a girl, I really don't know. See, that really is a conundrum. He'll have to be asked about that. It's interesting because they know now. Syd knows, so whether they're going to sit and like ask him like
Right,
next
because Aubrey
episode.
Plaza did exist. Because Syd talks about knowing her and put her in the wall, right?
Yeah,
So she was actually a person. It's not like he's made her up. I guess.
I don't know.
No, me either.
I honestly don't know. Whether because she put her in the wall, as you said, but that was when she was in David's body, so she would have been viewing her through David's kind of thing.
Oh, so you think maybe that was Benny?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Benny and Lenny are the same person, but one's a girl, one's a boy. Like to everyone else, it's Benny, but inside David's head, it's Lenny, and like no one knows why.
I'll go along with that.
Whether it's a coping mechanism, because like I don't know, maybe Benny died at some point and he replaced him in his mind with Lenny, because you got. I mean, it was a real confusing episode. So well, it's interesting as well because when he's escaping the astral plane, you've got Lenny was in there and getting him riled up, which was like when he was like getting riled up to get himself out of the astral plane. I must admit that was a bit like batty when it would. You gotta admit.
As an actor, there's only so many choices you can have to pull that moment off. You know what I mean? I can't think you can ever make it look ethically good.
Yeah, but it was a kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah. So they're all Syd and the memory guy going to see the ex-girlfriend. See, it's a very confusing one. they go and see the girlfriend to try and find out answers, and then like when they leave, she asks if there's anything she wants to say to David, and like she turns to him and says they're watching.
Right. So I assume that's the.
Division 3, 6.
So was their entire relationship a lie?
I don't know.
Me either.
That's another one. And kind of, it's interesting as well because I mean, Amy, the sister, she's locked up in the Division 3 facility, and her next door neighbour's like the doctor who was treating them in the whatever facility.
Yeah. See that. Okay, I don't actually believe this, but I will say where my mind first went, especially it went there before I even heard the astral plane, and then when that came up, I really began to consider it. But I don't think it is. But as they were talking, the sister and the old doctor guy, they were talking about how David used to talk about his dog.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He didn't have a dog,
Yeah.
but he said he was talking to someone named King, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, as soon as I had King, I thought, like the Shadow King, who is always in the astral plane, right?
Oh, well.
And Charles Xavier has always fought the Shadow King.
Yeah, in the comic book, there's a storyline, isn't there? Of like him defeating the Shadow King, or something like that.
I don't think the show will go there. I think Legion's avoiding the X-Men for the most part, but it is when my mind went first.
Well, you've got to think that, I mean, if there is no dog, then it's got to be one of the things inside his head, like the dog died and like he absorbed the thing into his head, or whether it's just like, oh, there's a little kid and I'll appear as a dog, so it's like less whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's just, like I said, King, Shadow King, astral plane. It would fit. I just don't think the show will go there.
So yeah, after Syd and the memory guy leave the estate agent or whatever to see the ex-girlfriend, they end up going to the lighthouse to see his psychologist, who's like sitting there. And I was thinking, while they were sitting there talking to him, I was thinking to myself, that guy's eye. And then I maybe didn't think much of it because it was on the other side, but then like it turned out he was actually the eye. Whatever that's about, what the eye can actually do in terms of mutant powers, but like, so yeah, it turns out it's a trap, and like the girl, like the other half of the Doctor, is like always going on about a fight and stuff like that, and then you see what was probably the best scene of like the series, where like the guy plays the music in the astral plane, and then like the girl's fighting all the Division 6 soldiers, and like the doctor guy back like cleaning up is like mopping up and stuff like that, and is doing all the things she's doing, like dodging and hitting. I thought that was sick, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty impressive. So yeah, she ends up touching the eyes, swapping bodies. I mean, pretty pointless thing. I mean, the girl gets battered. The girl is always going, oh, I want to fight. Oh, is there a fight anywhere? Always looking for a fight. She started off well. And then she got battered. So it was like, oh, that was a bit, underwhelming. I thought she was going to muller them. So Syd touches the eyes, swaps bodies, and then gets them to kind of safety in the van, drives off. And then Lenny's like, to David, oh yeah, the guy's just about to slit Syd's throat, get there, and then he kind of like digs deep, if you will, and teleports out of the astral plane.
Does Lenny know? I know you can't really answer this question, but I'll ask anyway. Does Lenny know that it's actually the other way around? That Syd and the Eye swap bodies, and she's making David do something pretty stupid.
Well, it never actually comes to the knife to Syd, does it? He never pulls a knife. She swapped bodies, kind of tried to stab David in the back, but I think they were just like, I think she probably just was like, look, your girlfriend's in trouble, go save her, and that's what he used to kind of muster the strength to teleport out of the astral plane, because that never happened. She was never about to get stabbed or anything, was she?
No, but it was the other way around, wasn't it? I think
I don't know what's going on. There's
it
a
was
lot of imagery. It was
it
very
threw the
confusing.
thing and it knocked it out of the hand. It's all very like I say, it's all very confusing. But basically, the long and the short of it is he gets away, but in doing so, kills the native woman who's the other
Oh,
guy.
yeah. So David turns up to save Syd, who's not really in trouble. They swap bodies, and then the eye runs down the street, gets away, and David realizes too late that they swap bodies. And then, like, yeah, the native girl's like running down the street. She catches a bullet, whether she's dead or not. I mean, she took it pretty hard. What I hate is the special effects. For like if someone gets shot and they make the blood appear on the clothes, it like fans out into like a blood patch, and it looks so fake every single time they CGI it, and it just looks terrible. It just, you can see it in that, and it's like not even the colour of blood, and it looks really off key. If anyone noticed that, but they've done that with other things as well. If someone's wearing a white shirt and they get shot, they kind of CGI the blood, and it just looks terrible. Like, don't look authentic. Like blood wouldn't do that. Blood would still go in one thing, but it always fans out in like a perfect circle. It's like it wouldn't
I'd
do
rather
that
that
because
than
it's
what they
leaking
used.
down.
I'd rather that than what they used to do in the old shows, where there was censored blood completely, and someone would get shot. You just never see it.
Yeah. I mean, but there's got to be better ways to do it, because that CGI just look terrible. They just fan the blood out in a perfect circle. It wouldn't do that. It'd be like bigger. It'd be like an oval shape at least. So that bothered me. So yeah, the girl caught a bullet, and obviously the scientist, because it's like attached to her, he caught a bullet. So he dropped in the facility. She's dropped in the middle of the road, and that's when like Lenny appeared over like his shoulder. I think that was meant to be some thought-provoking imagery right there. As you
Yeah, it's
said,
like
you
this.
thought it was the kind of devil on the shoulder. Um, could be something to that. Could be something to that. For me personally, there was a lot of information to digest in that episode.
There was. We're halfway through now. I
Halfway,
still
halfway
with the
through what?
season.
Oh, is
There's
there
eight.
only eight
There's
episodes?
8 episodes. We've had 4.
Is there only 8 episodes?
Yep.
I was not aware of that. So yeah, well, it wasn't really a cliffhanger, not like Stranger Things when that come to its fourth episode, which we reviewed also if you want to check that out.
No. No. In fact, we actually got some answers in this episode. It's just
For me, I thought it was akin to the first episode where there was a lot of confusion.
yeah, but I mean, we do know some stuff
Like what?
now. Well, we know that Lenny. I think I was letting me say it. Lenny is a bad influence on David, whether it's his own mind or something separate. We know
Right.
now about the husband being stuck in the astral plane.
Mhm.
We know the relationship with the girlfriend wasn't perhaps everything it was meant to be. And I think that's about it for answers so far.
Okay. Yeah. I guess so. Let's talk numbers. Unless there's anything else you'd like to bring up.
No, I think I'll go with an 8.
Because of the imagery and stuff like that, and the intrigue in it kind of being akin to like episode 1, I'll have to at least give it an 8.5. I'm considering in my head, should I give it a 9, because I mean that scene when she was fighting and the guy was cleaning, I thought that was awesome. Does
Then
that
be
warrant?
generous. Give it a 9. Why not?
You know what? I'm gonna give it 8.5.
Fair enough.
You can't cajole me. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'm Sam,
I'm not.
and this has been the Superhero Hub.